Hey everyone! So today I thought I would take a horror movie survey just to give you guys an idea on my tastes as far as horror movies go. I just thought it would be a little weird giving you my opinions and reviews on things without you knowing what I like in terms of horror. So I found this survey on Facebook. I think it was called like the 45 question great horror movie survey or something like that. I'm not going to answer all 45 because that would take quite a while, but I narrowed it down to a lucky 13 questions, so here we go. The first question is slashers or zombies? I think I would have to go with slashers. I think because it's my favorite genre of horror movie, and I don't think I would survive very long in a zombie apocalypse, and I think I might have a better chance with a serial killer, so I'm going to have to go with slasher. Next question is Wes Craven or John Carpenter? Now, one of my favorite horror movies ever is directed by Wes Craven, so I think I'm gonna have to go with Wes Craven on this one. Next question is my favorite scream queen. Another hard one. There's so many greats out there. I think it would either have to be Neve Campbell from Scream or Jamie Lee Curtis from the Halloween series. They're both so great and I love them so much as heroines. Next question is gore necessary for a good horror movie? Absolutely not. I don't think gore is necessary for a good horror movie. I've seen quite a few scary movies that have been absolutely terrifying and there's very minimal gore, if any. So I don't think it's necessary. Along those same lines, the next question is, what scene in a horror movie made you the most queasy? I have to think about this one. I think I would have to say the scene from Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween, the first one, when, spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie, when young Michael Myers beats up a bully to a bloody pulp with a very thick tree branch. It's really gory and visceral and in your face, violent, and it was almost hard to watch for me. I'm not sure why. I think mostly just the violence was scaring me so much, and also the close-ups of the bully's face as he was getting beat up. It was kind of terrifying. Next question, very hard question. Jason or Freddy? Oh, I'm gonna have a really hard time picking between these two. I think to answer this question without really answering this question, I will go with Freddy scares me more out of the two, but out of the two, I would rather be killed by Jason, or I'd rather be in a Friday the 13th movie. And I'll tell you why. Freddy wears his victims down. Like he always enters your dreams and you have a couple really bad nightmares with Freddy in them to the point where you don't want to fall asleep and you're just tired and exhausted and you're just worn down to the point where you're just terrified to shut your eyes, and then Freddy kills you. So he scares you a lot first. It's really terrifying the way he kills his victims, whereas Jason is just matter of fact, I'm gonna kill you with my huge machete. So I'm more scared of Freddy, but I'd rather be killed by Jason. Next question is, do you like comedy in your horror? Now, I feel like horror kind of lends itself to comedy a little bit. There's always just something about horror movies that, especially when you're scared, laughing is usually kind of a release of tension and of your fear a little bit. And I think I think most horror movies have a little bit of comedy in them. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Next question is my favorite horror movie of the last year. Favorite horror movie of the last year. I'm looking at my horror movie collection down here now. Trying to decide. If we're gonna go last year, as in 2013, I think I'm gonna have to go with The Conjuring. Just because I think it was really well done. I know some of the reviews said it was kind of boring or it wasn't as scary or as predictable. I don't know, I just really liked it. I thought it was really well done. There was a lot of really tense moments in there. I mean, obviously there were jump scares throughout, but it just left me really tense the whole time, to the point where when the movie ended, I didn't realize that I was like, my whole body was just tightened up and really, really, really stressed. So when the movie ended, I just relaxed and I didn't realize how tense I was the whole time. I think that's really great when a horror movie does that. I shouldn't be bored in it, and I wasn't bored in that movie. Okay, next question is, do you mind found footage or shot on video pseudo reality horror movies? I wouldn't say I love them. When they're done well, I do love them. They have to be done very well. But there are, unfortunately, a lot of bad found footage movies out there. And I think it can really hurt the story and the characters and the scares when it's not done right. So I definitely wouldn't put it in the top of my favorite subgenres of horror. Next question is Rob Zombie or Eli Roth? And I think I'm gonna have to go with Rob Zombie on this one. Even though his movies can be a little strange sometimes, I think they can also be really hyper violent. If you take his Halloween remakes, for example, they're just really violent to the point that it's terrifying for me. Like it almost feels too real. Next question is, any horror trends you don't like? I think I'm gonna have to go with found footage on this. Like I said earlier, when it's done well, I really like them. Like the first Paranormal Activity was great, Blair Witch Project, great. But for every really good found footage movie, I feel like there's 3 or 4 really bad found footage movies. So if I had to pick one horror movie trend that I don't like, I think I'm gonna have to go with found footage, just because of the amount of bad ones out there. Next question is favorite horror movie remake. Now I'm just gonna take a glance at my horror movie collection down here again. Try to jumpstart my brain here. Because if I purchased a horror movie remake, you know that it's a good one. Because there's a lot of crappy remakes out there. So I wouldn't waste my money if I didn't like it. I'm seeing the Evil Dead remake down here, which wasn't a bad one. Not saying it's my favorite. I think my favorite remake would have to be the remake of Dawn of the Dead. I think it's one of those films which is a good example of comedy and horror mixed together. Like it's a good amount. Just the right amount of violence and scariness with a little bit of comedy laced through there. And I think it's really well done remake. And the final question, probably the hardest question anyone could probably answer, is what is your favorite horror movie ever? Hard question. Definitely one of my favorite horror movie series is got to be the Scream series. I think it's another great example of the perfect blend of gore and horror and comedy. And it is a self-aware slasher film, which if you've seen any slasher film, you know there's a formula to it, and there's very specific things that always happen in a slasher movie, and there's always the same type of characters in a horror movie, and it just makes fun of that in a really clever way. And it makes you really appreciate horror movies, and it makes you really appreciate slasher films, and you can laugh at them a little bit. You can be like, they are kind of this ridiculous, but we love them anyway. Another of my favorites, probably definitely in the top 3, would probably be Trick or Treat. And if you don't know what that movie is, I will link to the trailer and the IMDb page down below, because it is an awesome anthology of stories that take place on Halloween night in this kind of town or neighborhood. And it's just so great how the stories kind of overlap and not interact with each other, but just move past each other in this same kind of universe. And I think it's really great, and there's a lot of awesome actors that make appearances in this movie, and it's a great Halloween movie as we're moving into fall and October. It's definitely one of my favorite movies to watch on Halloween, so I definitely check that one out. Leave me a comment down below telling me what your favorite horror movie is and why. And if you did enjoy this video, maybe give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys next week. Bye!